Well, I think it would have really started in Sydney after they were married with 5 children. He packed them into a horse and cart and took them off to the coalfields to preach. He'd had this sign from God to tell him that he should go and preach the gospel. So he followed that. Going from camp to camp would have been extremely difficult, very hard for her. And they lost a child in a waterhole while they were there. And I think that would have been the start of the issues that she had with her husband. I don't think she would have ever forgiven him for that. When he decided to go back to Brisbane and go back to the profession he knew, she then thought to herself, well, this is the ideal time for me to try and get out of this poverty that we've been in. I have the experience, I can go in there and I can help to get this happening. And she also had this feeling that she wanted to make this corset to help women get out of the pain and suffering they'd been in. I think Dolph, from what I understand, was possibly a little on the lazy side. Sarah was very driven, and that would have been a big difference between them. Dolph was definitely a talker, and Sarah was the doer of the family.
Her training and experience in Sydney, in hospitals and with an orthopaedic company down there, would have been absolutely essential for the development of the corset that she created. So that led her to believe that she could create a better product, a better corset than was on the market at that time. Yeah, it would have been so essential to get the credibility with the orthopaedic surgeons, to work with them in the development of her corset.
Fitting a corset that was correct was the thing that set her corset apart from everything else. The fact that that corset would relieve pain and suffering. It would also give a good line to the body, so she had both sides of the coin with what she designed.
She was unique. I think her uniqueness came in the fact that she commenced at a very early period a business herself under her leadership. I think Sarah's convictions and her belief in what she could do thrust her into creating something unique, which she did. She classified 8 separate figure types, and I think that took the surgical corset into the mass market.
She revolutionised the corsetry business with her designs, from waist whittlers, fashionable type of products, to something that was more acceptable and obviously could be worn by a bigger population. All through her life she worked on designs that suited various figure types, and then because of the range of products she had, it was essential that they be classified in some way that they could be fitted more easily.
She developed a corset with a unique lacing system, which was patented, that allowed a woman to, say, draw half a pound and exert a pound. In a sailor's term, it was a block and tackle. It was simple, and yet it made it easy to adjust and fit the figure. Once she knew she had something unique, I think she was prepared to take risks. They set up factory come retail in George Street, and what they call 317, 327 George Street. And it wasn't very long, only a few years, that they moved to the larger premises, 309 George Street. And that was a large factory. And it wasn't very long before she built that to the point where it had 200 machinists operating and was a substantial business.
So in 1910 she applied for, and by 1912 she had been approved for both Australian and world patents on her product. And that enabled her then to go overseas with confidence that her corset could not be copied anywhere else in the world when she showed it. She packed up at that point and headed off to England, and where she actually showed her corsets in the major hospitals, Guy's and the various hospitals in London, to the orthopaedic surgeons, who then looked at the corsets, tried them, put them on their nurses and their patients, gave her absolute amazing praise, said it was the world's best corset the world had ever seen.
In today's world, we look at travel around the world as though it's simple. But if you can imagine packing your bags and taking a ship to England, and then shipping across to Europe, and then shipping across to Canada and USA, and returning by ship to Australia, that is a substantial effort. Sarah Jenyns created a business with 15 employees, and that was in the 327 George Street building. By the time I joined the business in 1953, we started to move into the bra business, and it became very clear that we needed expanded production capacity. My forefather formed what he called the House of Jenyns, and from there we started an absolutely phenomenal growth pattern. Our staff increased, and by 1964, when we sat down with Triumph, we had a staff of 1,100 machinists, and we had 7 factories operating.
Sarah laid the path for 4 generations, and she will always be remembered as a very astute business leader.